Welcome to Retro Fanfic Retrospective, the podcast where we dredge up old fanfiction and expose it to the cold, harsh light of 2018. My name is Amato, and with me are...
Tori.
And Dom.
You have been chosen, you two, because of your attitude to address this fanfic.
And our youth and exuberance.
I don't know about that anymore.
Hey.
Is that a good
Chill
thing? Is
on
it
that.
a good attitude or a bad attitude? Or?
Well, judging by Mighty Morphin, it is freaking stunningly good attitudes.
Oh, okay.
Because those kids were like constantly mentoring youth and volunteering for things and like
That's what I do
doing
with my life.
self-improvement
Like doing weird flips to save babies that are rolling down a hill.
all the time.
That's literally what I do with my life, so...
Yeah.
Of us, who has the most attitude? Tori?
I'd say Tori.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a stiff competition, but, but probably Tori.
It's
On average,
try.
our attitude is not much to speak of.
I could have attitude if you bug me enough, but otherwise, no.
Okay, well,
Well, my moon is in Scorpio, so the attitude comes out at times.
that makes me think. If you were to transform into some sort of dinosaur, legendary creature, or animal-based superhero, what would your animal be?
A dog.
A dog? Okay, that's a good one.
I am a dog. I'm a loyal, good follower, and also I bite people if they make me mad.
You're a good dog. You're a good dog.
I'm a good dog.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In Power Rangers SPD/Deca Ranger, the mentor is a humanoid alien dog who transforms into a dog-themed ranger.
That's beautiful.
What about you, Dom?
Dragon.
Oh, yeah, go for dragon.
Yeah.
Dragons are like dogs,
So
too.
unoriginal.
If you give me the
Hey,
choice.
no, dragons are like sky dogs, so I fully respect them.
And I like green as a color. I think.
Green's a good one. You could be the comic relief.
Yeah,
I can do that.
As for me, I feel like I have to fall back on my... You know how, like, as a kid, you need to have a favorite animal because everyone's always asking you that?
Because I just
Yes.
don't know what else to ask you.
Right.
Yeah.
And my go-to was rabbit because I had a stuffed rabbit that I liked. I feel like I could...
that's cute.
I feel like I could do a rabbit-themed ranger.
Yeah.
Very cute rabbit.
But in practice, if I was to appear on Power Rangers, I would be a one-shot character who would like be threatened by a monster never spoken of again. I assume I would be Billy's DM in his D&D game
See.
that was never mentioned before, would never be mentioned again, and I would
What
be
I was
dropped in
gonna
some kind of
say
maze.
is I feel like you'd be kind of like Billy, but when I was a kid, I related most to Billy.
Yeah,
Sure.
me too.
So
Yeah.
I might have been him. But
I was gonna say you would definitely be a Blue Ranger.
yeah. Well, blue's my favorite color.
Yeah, except that none of my
Amato,
knowledge
you're
is
kind of like Billy.
none of my knowledge is actually practical or applicable, though.
I mean, what character's knowledge in this is? You know? It would be related to whatever monster we're fighting at the week.
As long
There
as
you
you
go.
say affirmative multiple times, you're good.
What color were you, Tori? What was your ranger color?
Oh, I like blue. Like I always liked the blue ranger, and like blue was my favorite color. But I also had a strong, like as a child, a strong pull towards the red ranger because I just wanted to be like the cool one, you know, and like the leader. And I love that scene where Jason like uses Link sausages like nunchucks. Like that was like my thing. I was like, I'm gonna use sausages like nunchucks.
Like if the three of us,
Classics of cinema.
but like
Yeah,
if the
I
three
was
of us
compelled
were
for that.
were
I was torn
Sentai
between the
team,
two.
what colors would we be?
Well, if the three of us are a Sentai team, we are legally obligated to be red, blue, and yellow.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, blue's my favorite color, but then the Red Ranger was a huge draw for me as a kid. I think that's my tornness between my Taurus sun and my Sagittarius rising.
But like, who would be the leader in time when we're all defeated on the ground, panting?
Oh, that would be a motto.
You think so?
No, because you can have the like cool leader red, but you can also have the like hot-headed throwing themselves at the enemy red. Tori, I think you're hot-headed throwing yourself at the enemy
no,
red.
that's totally
Okay,
me.
yeah,
I think I'm blue, and
Okay.
Dom is yellow.
By default.
Yeah. Well, no, Dom ends lends a composure to us, I think. Dom is a balancing force.
Also could be male or female depending on the.
Well, blue is also
Yeah.
one of those, yes.
Yeah.
Both blue and yellow are the gender-fluid Sentai colors.
Yeah, well, which is ironic, you know. You're going to give me red here.
But you are the most hot-headed, I think, leader type of us three.
Which is hilarious because in most social groups I am not that. But
So, speaking of everything relating to Power Rangers, I was way into Power Rangers as a kid.
Me too.
Up until
Yeah,
about
definitely.
Zeo, which I thought was super cool, but I stopped watching for some reason.
I was up until the aquatic ranger.
Well, that was about the same time as me, actually. Zeo was just after that.
Okay.
Galaxy, I think, was the last one I watched. Or In Space,
Oh.
and then Galaxy was after
Lost,
that.
Lost Galaxy was after In Space.
Lost
yeah.
Galaxy,
I
yeah.
went back
That
and
was the last one I
rewatched.
watched.
I went back and rewatched a fair bit of it in college, including In Space. And
Yeah, Lost Galaxy during that arc was the point at which I dropped off a little bit.
So for us, it was like a little bit after grade school, I think. We stopped watching. Like late grade school.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
And I'm 2 years younger than you all.
So you got a little
I think-
farther.
Yeah, I got a little farther.
It's like, it wasn't a positive. Just in grade school, it just wasn't as much as a priority as it could have been before.
I remember when Turbo was going out on the playground, someone saying like, the Blue Ranger's a kid who turns into like a big person. I was like, that's weird.
I had
I got to
Power
that point.
Rangers Red Ranger Turbo pajamas that I wore like every night and was totally obsessed with until I wore through the knees and elbows of it.
Very nice.
Like in middle school, I talked to people about Power Rangers in the same breath as like Usagi Yojimbo and Teenage Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Well, they're all kind of similar vein of like shonen style and
Yeah.
Sentai teams. If you think about Ninja Turtles,
The
that
difference
way.
is Ninja Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo is actually better than Mighty Morphin turned out to be.
Oh, yeah, well, Usagi
Yeah.
Yojimbo is really not at all
Not at all,
Sentai
really.
thing.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking about Power Rangers, we had some friends who had lived in Japan. And from a very, very young age, I had some Jurenja, like, trading cards. Like, the basis of Season 1. And so from a very young age, I had the vague awareness that there was some kind of, like, Japan link with this. And then I ended up with, like, a little children's book, kind of going through, like, characters and weapons and stuff. And I still have it, like, I think on my son's, like, bookshelf somewhere, of 5-Man, which is one of the pre-Jew Ranger series. So I was also vaguely aware that there were other Power Rangers-y shows that were not Power Rangers.
Man, like-
and like from when I was like first grade-y or like kindergarten-y. But then I didn't really understand how all the pieces fit together until later.
But like as a kid, having a friend who was like vaguely interested in like a different nation's culture was so weird. Because like as a kid, I had an acquaintance through church that was like half Japanese, so they'd go back home to their relatives every so often. So they were playing Pokemon Gold and Silver before Gold and Silver came out
Oh,
here.
that would have been mind-blowing.
It was crazy. Like they were like playing on a Game Boy during one trip. It's like, can I play? It's like, yeah, go ahead. And like I headbutted a tree and like a Heracross came out.
Oh, wow.
And like they were like, oh, that's cool. And then they caught it in the captain. It's like, but I lost a battle before. It's like, oh, that's fine.
That sounds like a life-defining moment, Dom.
It was
It does,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, this particular fanfic, it was written in 2001, so long after Mighty Morphin. And it's set in Season 2 of Mighty Morphin, and it centers around the extremely awkward departure from the cast of
Yes.
the actors of Jason, Zach, and Tree.
I just had to assume that they had different. That they just didn't renew their contract or something.
Oh no, they asked for more money because Power Rangers was
Yes.
making money hand over fist.
And they just got rid of them?
An example was
Yeah.
made of them. I only assume that after they got kicked off of the cast for daring to have the temerity to ask for a pay raise, so, like Haim Saban or whatever his name is was standing at the side of like the filming, like just running his finger over his throat towards
Yeah.
the other actors.
Well, it's an interesting thing about being a martial artist who goes into a film industry is that you're really not respected for your craft very much. It's
No.
like, can you kind of act and also do these stunts? All right, do all these stunts and then sort of act.
Right.
And then they don't really respect the fact that like you actually have an acting talent. Like these characters in Power Rangers, like they actually act fairly well. No, I mean
Jason?
I would say that given that they are martial artists and not actors, they do a decent job.
I
But-
think maybe given the script they were given.
That as well.
Yeah.
I would say that as a martial artist, like you're given these roles, and they're usually stunt roles, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like
Yeah.
the actors are in costumes and they bounce around and the voices are not theirs and
And
the
like-
voices are the actors. So they actually had to put some acting effort in despite not being really actors at all.
But, like,
that's
as a-
all I'm saying.
As like a stunt performer, you're kind of treated sort of lesser on the set and on the hierarchy.
Correct. And these aren't just stunt actors. They're full-fledged martial artists.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
my full respect goes to them, you know, as a martial artist. Like getting into that film industry is like usually you're given these kind of horrible bit roles and they got these roles. And I think they were right to ask for more money, but I understand why they were not treated as full-fledged actors.
Yeah.
Because they were hired as martial
Because
artists, as stunt people, essentially.
As like a capitalist, you don't pay somebody more than you have to.
Yeah. And so I appreciate them. I think they were, from what I know about the situation, I think they were badly treated.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
you know, as a fan, it's very obvious. When they unceremoniously leave the cast, there's a string of about 7 episodes where their characters are theoretically still around, but the writers are also doing everything they can to set up replacing them.
Right.
And that is the time frame in which this fanfic is set to try to kind of patch up some of those gaps before they're all just like put on a bus and sent off.
By the way, Amada, did you see that live action trailer that the Green Ranger did for that comic book series?
For Hyperforce.
Something like that. Yeah.
I was watching a little bit of the Let's Play Power Rangers, like not Let's Play, the actual Play Power Rangers RPG that was official that like that series tied into, but I did not see the trailer. No.
No, it was a pretty cool trailer of like it's an IDW comic book arc, I think, where they have like a version of the Green Ranger or the White Ranger, I can't remember which one.
Both.
Being like the Pokemon Czar or Pokemon Caesar.
Yeah.
Of like
Oh my
Pokemon.
god.
Power Ranger Caesar of like a whole bunch of Power Rangers in different universes that were like invading different universes.
Lord
To, like-
Drakon.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a pretty fun thing because they got the Green Ranger actor in there.
Oh,
to do it.
he was involved in the series on and off for forever, and I
Yeah.
guess still is.
Yeah, they're a good sport about it.
Yeah, he's extremely game.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this fanfic, specifically, it's set around the events of the 3-parter, The Ninja Encounter, which introduces Jason, Zach, and Trini's replacements.
I wish I do not remember. I know I must have seen. I must have spent some time with them, but it does not hold any place in my heart.
Yeah, I don't remember Rocky either. The other two I have more affection
Yeah.
for.
Agreed.
Aisha and somebody.
Aisha and Adam. And I know Power Rangers fans who are quite adamant that Adam is in the top 3 or possibly top 2 or possibly top 1 best martial artists they've ever had on the show.
This is correct.
I was never quite like conscious enough of the differences between their martial arts.
He's also given center stage
A lot.
a lot, yeah, to demonstrate his martial arts. So I will say that I don't know if he is the best martial artist on the show, but he is given a lot of opportunities to demonstrate his skill, and he is quite skilled. And he does a lot. Like, it's great.
What color Ranger was Adam?
That's New Black.
New Black Ranger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they switched the races
Of yellow and black.
Yellow and black.
As well they should
So
have.
that the Yellow Ranger wouldn't be East Asian anymore. Instead, she would be black. And
Right.
the Black Ranger would be East Asian instead of black. So.
Racism
They-
fixed.
It's life.
They should have
Hello,
made
the
Adam
90s.
red, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they just kind of went. Rocky's the Red Ranger because he's
well,
another.
'cause
Like
he's
this
white
is what
bread.
I was saying before. Is they
The white guy
couldn't-
had to be the Red Ranger, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Is like they couldn't make a person of color the Red Ranger.
Also, wasn't Jason supposed to be like vaguely like Native American?
I think he had a little ancestry.
Yeah.
I don't know the ancestors
It's that or
the
Tommy
actor's
was.
ancestry,
Right.
But
It was like implied in the show, I think.
yeah, I think it was.
Well, no,
but-
it's explicit in like one episode and never mentioned again.
Okay.
Just like me DMing Billy in D&D.
Yeah, you're a guest spot.
I'm pretty sure that happened.
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure you get a guest spot on Freaks and Geeks.
I can only aspire to be like I'm blanking on his name.
The
Can't remember
DM.
either. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like
he,
the actor's name. I used to know it
he
because
seriously reminds me of you, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you two look similar in high school.
we were a little more similar in high school than. Maybe I'm just
Apparently.
not similar enough to my high school self.
Oh, no, you are.
Don't we all become like doppelgangers to our older, younger selves as we grow
Sounds
older?
right.
Oh, speaking of our younger selves.
So
The Power Rangers.
Yeah, this fanfic is all from Jason's perspective. I mean, almost all. It's mostly from Jason's perspective.
Yeah.
And it starts with Jason pursuing a putty into the forest. He's like chasing it down.
This is the fanfic Loss of Innocence by Joe Rovang.
Loss of more than one innocent.
How did you come across this fanfic?
Oh, this one was a recommendation
That was a wreck.
on TV tropes.
You have one job.
TV tropes. And I know there is a lot of other Power Rangers fanfiction and older Power Rangers fanfiction out there, partially because I used to peruse the Writer's Guide to the Power Rangers universe, which was kind of like a wiki for in-universe Power Rangers stuff, except written by one crazed person who kept track of all this shit. And so it was like, what is every mention of this obscure thing that they mentioned twice? Well, here they are.
So this is the most famous Power Rangers fanfic?
You know what? I'm not keyed in enough to know what's super famous. I have one older, like considerably older Power Rangers fanfic on the docket, but it's a Ghostbusters crossover because of course it is.
What?
One thing I've discovered is that I could do this series as entirely Ghostbusters crossovers.
Internet, what did you do?
All right.
It would just be Gargoyles and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
This one's going to be Power Rangers and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We're going to read a Back to the Future fanfic and Ghostbusters.
No.
Let's do some Lord of the Rings and Ghostbusters.
No. Those are wrong. No, it's all wrong. A motto.
Well, that's why we're not doing that.
Okay.
But we will be doing the Power Rangers
Some nice
Ghostbusters
thing, Cuckoo
at some
and
point.
Ghostbusters.
You might have to search for that one.
Might have to.
So yeah, the fanfic starts with Jason pursuing a putty. He's kind of like chasing into the forest. He finds the putty drawing something on the ground, and before it sees him and attacks, and he hits it in the Z because Lord Zed made super putties that have a much more vulnerable weak spot than the old ones.
Right.
Yeah, because why not? And this is also very true in the episode where the Power Rangers are replaced that we watched, where a soccer ball kills one of them.
Kills?
Yes,
Wait.
it destroys one of the putties by hitting him in the Z.
Oh, kills one of the
yeah.
putties.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, putties are terrible. They're the worst.
It was a soccer ball.
Well,
yeah.
there was a weak point in the previous putties, wasn't there?
No, their weak point was just getting hammered on.
Okay. So it's just these ones specifically that had a big giant Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that explains how the in the power transfer episodes, how the new Rangers are able to escape from their being captured by the putties is that Adam kicks a soccer ball into the Z and it destroys the putty.
Best martial arts.
Yeah.
And the thing that the putty was drawing gets destroyed by Tommy accidentally. He just steps on it.
No, he sees it. It's still on the ground.
Tommy sees it?
Yeah.
No.
No, before he could ask any more questions of the inscription, being like, what is this putty writing here? A heavy brown boot planted itself into the earth before Jason's eyes, erasing any sign that there had ever been anything there but a footprint.
It was Zach that walks on it, right, or something.
Tommy does.
Tommy
so
just
only,
like stepping in. He doesn't realize what he's stepping on.
So only Jason saw it.
Right.
And Jason's kind of like dwelling on this because like he's like, oh, was it some like important message? Was it like something that the putty was like
He does
signal?
He does like a Close Encounters of the Third Kind sort of thing where he just draws like this means something.
Yeah, and
Yes,
he's doing
he
that in
keeps drawing
class.
it in school, and Bulk and Skull make fun of him.
It is spot on Bulk and Skull dialogue.
I know.
I was so
Yeah.
happy.
Well,
like,
it's not hard to
It's
replicate
not
Bulk
hard.
and Skull dialogue.
I know, but it just makes me happy that in this fanfic, Bulk and Skull show up once and do some Bulk and Skull dialogue and walk off stage and never show up again. And it's just, yes, I do want that in my Mighty Morphin fanfic.
What was
Thank you.
funny in rewatching the Power Rangers, like a couple episodes, was seeing how old everybody actually is.
Yeah.
You know, Bulk and Skull especially, you're just like, damn, these are not high school kids.
They're just young comedic actors trying to get it. And like I try.
It's so funny.
I mean, Amada recommended a few of the Money More from Power Rangers episodes to watch. I tried. For the love of God, I did try.
I'd like to say I didn't recommend them so much as say that they were the ones that were relevant
Right.
to this episode.
It's like,
Well, I did watch them, and I realized that all the actors are in their 30s.
But also like Bulk and Skull, I remember them being like dipshit characters as a kid. But like they're good people. They try good.
Oh, because you watched
Yeah.
the baby carriage thing.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
the baby's there's a baby in a stroller that's running down a hill because
like
this park
10,
is all
15
hill.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's like going through grass. It never loses momentum for any reason.
Yeah.
And it zooms past Bulk and Skull. And Skull's like, well, Skull is like, hey, like, that was a baby. And Bulk's like, oh my god, we gotta catch that baby. Because, yeah, like, they want to be good people later
They're
on.
just
And
kids.
they
like, they're
get
supposed
out-
to be just kids, but because the actors are, like, 35, it seems weird.
was like-
but...
After that, they immediately get on their weird, like, 3-part skateboards
Right.
and skate down on after them.
They're
Yeah.
doing their best.
Yeah.
And they get the I am Spartacus moment at the end of In Space
Mm-hmm.
when, like, the villains descend on Earth and it's like, turn over the Power Rangers and, like, no one, and, like, I won't kill everybody else on this planet. And I think Bulk is the one who steps forward and is like, I'm the Red Ranger. And then,
Yeah.
you know, everybody else steps forward and does the I am Spartacus
And,
thing.
and there's the later part
Yeah.
where Goldar ends up living with Bulk and Skull in their garage.
Yeah, but they're kind of shitty to him.
Yeah.
So Power Rangers, a lot of nuance there.
But also, I couldn't get through the rest of that episode without some sort of like validation from somebody else. Like it was this sort of thing where I was trying to yell at somebody, but nobody was there watching with me. Like if I was doing a podcast where it was like I was watching each episode of the Power Rangers, I'd go through it, but like, or if somebody else was there.
I'm sorry, that podcast is taken. It's called The Morphin Grid. It's very good.
I want to get on there and like, complain about that episode.
Too late. They just finished Lost Galaxy.
Oh,
I do want to read this Bulk and Skull dialogue because it makes me happy.
go for
Okay, go for it.
Class was dismissed. 2 classmates made their way around Jason's desk, but paused, catching sight of the page Jason was studying. Aw, Jason's taken up art, Bulk beamed to his friend.
I'm already hearing the music in the background in my head.
You can do the music while we're doing this.
That's okay.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. Skull grinned, tilting his head at the paper. Cute little critter. Hey, Bulk excitedly told Jason, maybe if you work really hard, Angel Grove Elementary will let you into their first grade art class. The two cackled and took their traveling comedy act outside, slapping each other's arms to celebrate their superior wit. This is, however, plot relevant because Jason was thinking it was writing, and he wasn't thinking it was
Yeah.
a picture. But now that he's looking at it that way, he's like, oh, was it drawing a picture?
Because like it was
Yes.
an oval with a couple dots and some lines.
And yeah, over the course of this, it not immediately, he begins to realize it was a rabbit.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
a crude drawing of a bunny.
As soon as he realizes this, he is rightly horrified because
Yes.
this was a putty that did not have an evil mission to go draw a bunny.
It was
This-
drawing a bunny in the dirt, and he killed it.
It liked
Right.
a bunny because it was so cute and it loved the bunny.
Now, to be fair,
Good
he
bunny.
did not kill it while it was drawing the bunny. It noticed him, attacked him, and then he hit it, and it exploded.
Yes,
But
Jason
this does
feels-
not make Jason feel much better.
No.
No, rightfully very messed up.
Now, here is the weird part about the fanfic. The fanfic is serving a very specific purpose to explain the departure of Jason, Zach, and Trini.
Jason Zach.
of Dreamy.
Jackini.
That sounds delicious. That.
And to make that work, Jason goes to Zach and Trini and talks to them about what he learned and about his misgivings and about he's been thinking this over and he's like, we murder sentient creatures a whole lot. I mean, you know, they're trying to do evil things, but we do just kill them all the time.
Because for an interesting thing with a lot of Sentai-based shows that have happened since then, like there's been like Bokura no, which is like a giant robot anime, which is the most depressing thing you'll ever watch, hands down.
I watched the first part of it. I agree.
Yeah, I watched a few parts past it, and like I had like a slight trouble getting one of the episodes. Like, oh well, I'm done. I'm not watching this anymore, and it was bummer. But like just even recently, like this season, you have SSSS Gridman, which is like a Super Samurai Squad.
Isn't that Super Samurai Cyber Squad?
Exactly. That combined with the Japanese show was based off of into a new anime.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
exactly. Yeah, it's done by Trigger, the people who did Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann and stuff.
That's bizarre.
It's great. You should watch it.
Are they going to take a big bad Beetleborgs next?
I would love that.
Oh my god.
Like,
That would be amazing.
It's an interesting thing where like
Speaking of
the
Power Rangers.
you have like Magica Madoka, which does to like the Magical Girl series, where it takes the Magical Girl concept and changes it into sort of like a horrific
Yes.
extent
And
of the genre.
It does a good thing, though I do think it does the darkness almost unnecessarily at times.
Right.
But it does it very well.
And you have some things that do that with the Sentai, like the Bokurao now, which is like just huge on the devastation and impact that giant creature can have on a city.
Things done for the sake of deconstruction, which are
and like
valid.
the Gridman model, which is actually like a weird combination of the two, because they do have a giant monster that like destroys the town and kills people, but then the people go to sleep and wake up the next night and everything's fixed and everything's okay. Which is like another weird, like almost Cthulhian aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that sounds interesting. I kind of want to watch that now.
It's also interesting because the people they killed stay dead.
Oh, that's really creepy.
Well, it's creepy because then also they talk to the parents and the parents say they died in middle school.
So it's super creepy. That sounds great.
It's great. Yeah, I'm still on episode like 6 or so, and there's 8 out at the moment. I'm interested in watching the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so...
And so this is the Sentai concept of what if the things we're killing have souls?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, Jason is making the argument...
And this is what's happening.
We have fought... Jason's making the argument, we have fought people who've been brainwashed into evil. How do we know all these monsters aren't just like that?
Right.
And Jack says... Tommy was under a spell, Zach continued, tossing Jason another stone. But monsters are just evil. That's all they are. Jason pucked the stone... Pucked the stone?
Pucked the stone?
Jason pucked the stone out of the air and examined it in his fingers, running his thumb over its ridges.
Plucked, maybe?
How do we know? He inquired. When do we ever give a monster as many chances as we gave Tommy?
Also, there's lines like where they talk about how like the physical construction of the beings are different. But it's like, are you sure? Trini asked. Jason merely nodded. But it's just clay, Zach protested, and unable to grasp what he'd been told. Clay can't have a soul. Jason eyed him. And carbon can.
It was interesting. Yeah, that was great. And it was interesting that they point this out, too, because the author's really trying to point to inconsistencies here. Like, that they gave the Green Rangers so many chances, and it's not explained why they did.
And for this,
because he looks human, I guess.
Yeah, right. But the putties kind of do, too.
Well, they look like people in suits.
Yeah, they do, just like the Green...
Mysteriously.
They gave the Green Ranger more chances, and they're trying to point out, like, hey, that's interesting. Why do we do that?
Yeah,
you know?
Something this fic does have for it is very descriptive imagery throughout it, like very engaging.
And
totally.
What I was trying to say, though, that's weird at the beginning of this is that Jason has understandable misgivings, and he talks to Zach and Trini. And only Zach and Trini for the whole fanfic.
Well, because they're the ones that leave him at the end of that. They all get invited to go to Switzerland.
I know. It's contrived because that's what has to happen for this fanfic to patch the rocky hole that it's trying to patch over.
Because, like, actually, if you're researching, you'd get Billy on that in a second.
Of course
right?
you would.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no reason you wouldn't talk to Kimberly. I feel like there's a little bit of subtext here in this fanfic that Jason's not... I felt like Jason didn't really want to talk to Tommy about it. Because Tommy's the leader. Tommy's the most gung-ho at this point.
And Jason used to be the leader, too.
Jason did used to be the leader.
One assumes Jason would have some feelings about, but it's never portrayed in actual...
They were always pretty bro-y, though. Like,
I know.
There's a whole episode in Season 2 about Jason just being distraught that Tommy's gone after he loses his Green Ranger powers.
He just, like, immediately was like, Tommy's great. I'm going to follow Tommy now. You would think he'd have some tension about that. So, I don't know. This author's obviously trying to explore some, like, hidden tension, so I can see how that might come up.
Was that your Red Ranger impression?
No, because his voice is like, Tommy's great,
it's morphin'
y'all.
time.
It's morphin' time.
Yeah, Tommy's great, man. Tommy's so good.
So
I love Tommy.
Man, I don't know.
Tommy.
Also, there's some
That's exactly what Jason sounds like, yes.
There's some moments in this fic where they talk about Tommy and Jason interacting where, like, Tommy joking is like, hey, dude, do you actually want to be the leader now? And Jason's like, no, never mind.
And I take him at his word that he doesn't really want that, but it does also seem like there is a little bit of subtextual tension in terms of Jason being reluctant to bring this up, bring this situation up to Tommy. And, all right, what happens next? At this point, it starts kind of interacting with the episodes, and that's when it gets a little bit choppier.
Well, they do a little bit of the Three Ninja intro thing, but without the baby falling down the cliff.
Well, it's a good choice because at the beginning of the ninja encounter, all of the Rangers are out at a park having a picnic together. But you get a long shot of them, and then the only three that you see close up are Tommy and Kimberly and Billy, with the occasional shot of Trini separately that was clearly from another episode.
Well, it's Trini and Jason and Jack all like rollerblading by themselves.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing later. That's right.
Yeah.
And so it kind of gives you the whole picnic scene, which is kind of interesting, with different conversations and things leading into that. The others ask them, like, hey, you three have been hanging out by yourselves a lot. And, like, is anything going on? They're like, no, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, because they redo the picnic scene where the Pink Ranger says, talking about the ninja...
The ninja competition, which is just a martial arts tournament.
Yeah, who says, what obnoxious clods?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, they only say it once in the fic, but I watched in the episode, and they said it more than once in the episode. The word clods, which really brought me back to like a paradigm frame of mind.
Yeah.
They've strengthened the dialogue in that scene, but they grab a lot of it. The author grabs what they can verbatim from the episodes that they're like working off of, which is interesting.
Also, in the fact they mentioned how like the teens are doing something, which just kind of puts things in weird context.
Yeah, but they literally say that in Power Rangers all the time. Like, these teens are our new Power Rangers. Like,
Okay.
Look at those teens. Like, they do that all the time.
Around here,
which I think is great.
The teens
author
lounge
uses
comfortably
that.
in the shifting afternoon
Yeah,
sun.
but they use that language all the time in the series. So, it was funny because I thought the same thing when I was reading through it. I was like, what the?
It's just
what?
kind of uncomfortable.
But then when I was rewatching the show, I was like, yeah, they say teens like all the time.
There
Now-
are 3 teens without a tool.
It
The
occurs
new
to me
teens.
they actually I was misremembering the order of things. The picnic, which marks the start of these 3 actors being off the show, is later. Before that, they kind of walk through the episode before that and kind of write in Jason being uncomfortable
Yes.
with things through the whole
That's
process.
Most of the fanfic is that Jason is really empathetic towards these monsters now.
Did you say apathetic?
Empathetic.
Yeah, ambivalent towards like what they're doing. And
He's empathetic towards them. Like, he has empathy.
But
for
he's
the
still
monsters.
going through their perceived duty of destroying these monsters, but still like being more upset
Yes.
about it.
well, just before destroying this pumpkin wrapper,
He has a lot of empathy
which is
to the monsters.
such a Power Rangers villain. He's
pumpkin
like
wrapper.
he's like volunteering with youth like you do when you are a teenager with attitude.
Yeah.
And like they're drawing the Power Rangers and like as idols, they're drawing like someone draws like the day the Power Rangers saved my family. Like that's what they're illustrating.
yeah, they're hanging out with the kids.
And so that's very present in Jason's mind. And like it's what it comes down to is like the others are like, hey, we've got to destroy this monster because it is about to destroy innocent lives.
But
Right.
what's happening for Jason is that he's working as a volunteer with these kids, but in his mind, this putty drawing a kind of crude bunny is also like a child.
Yeah.
So he's making a comparison and drawing this analog kind of in his brain. He's thinking, are we destroying children? Like,
Right.
that's what he's thinking. So
And the end of part 1 is when the Megazord destroys the pumpkin wrapper. It's every time I say that, I have to just pause and
I know.
absorb the Power Rangers-ness.
I have a part highlighted here that
Yes.
says the Megazord toppled and crashed against the earth. Below, as the pumpkin wrapper boasted, on the ground, clown.
On the ground, clown.
Why did I highlight that?
I know. Well, that's the thing is it's so Power Rangers, like the silly puns,
So-
ridiculous.
They do this weird like introspective stuff, but they still give the villains like Power
and
Rangers
it's
dialogue.
very
Well,
Power Rangers.
it's because
yeah.
the author's
And the
taking
author was
everything
good
they
at it.
possibly can from the actual source
Yes,
directly.
they did great
They did
at
a
that.
close read of the episodes and drew everything they could.
Yes.
So this is the end of the pumpkin wrapper. They summoned the Thunder Saber. Jason could feel his arms instinctively moving as one with the others in response to their group thought, tracing out the deadly motion of their saber. The Megazord lurched forward, blade gleaming in the setting sun. "You brats, what's with that?" cried Pumpkin Wrapper, quivering from his imminent doom. The glowing blade passed cleanly through his body, and the Zord turned its back as the monster passed away into flame. Zack looked over as Jason breathed heavily. He knew Jason had heard it too. A scream.
See, I don't think I've ever seen such a great and incredible accuracy to the source material in terms of literal events and literal dialogue.
This author
and
was
yet
so dedicated.
strange contrast. Yes, but the literalness of what actually happened in terms of dialogue, in terms of events, and the corniness of the dialogue and the strange monster names, but then the actual emotional response and this strange scream. The contrast is so intense. Like that's incredible. Like how did they do that?
They just weird like psychological horror where they talk about like
Yes.
Then they these things talking about like
This corny thing at
super
the-
threats, but like then they scream, and that's what resonates with them.
Yeah.
And like they created this strange, different reality in which the monsters have these feelings, and they still stuck to the corniness of the source material. It's very conflicting as a reader. Like you're like, what?
Yeah, and Jason is never able to really renounce the necessity of doing these things.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like over the course of the fanfic, he decides he can't do it. Like he can't do it anymore,
Like,
you know?
he recognizes the need for it. He realizes it's important and that it has to be done, but he just can't do it themselves personally.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting. Part 2 is the one that starts in with like Kimberly and Billy and Tommy have kind of been hanging out with each other because the other 3 have kind of been splitting off, and they all gather together for the picnic. And again, it weaves in and out of literal text from the episode and like stuff that must have happened and like extrapolating on dialogues. And it's our introduction to, in the Power Rangers series, to the teens with attitude that will be replacing these 3, who are a team in that ninja competition. And they're like watching the team ninja competition on a portable TV because, of course, they're all into martial arts.
And the whole time they talk about teens lounging in different positions and stuff.
A lot of teen lounging.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what Power Rangers is all about.
Which is very uncomfortable to read.
Yeah.
And Jason has had Zach and Trini doing research on myths about imprisoning monsters. And I think they get in a decent like Lightspeed Rescue reference in there and stuff. But like, why has he not talked to Billy? What is going on here?
It was like they mentioned if you fly to Europe, we could check out the urn of the Kamalan face stealer and stuff like that.
Is that a Power Rangers monster? I didn't check.
No, I don't think so. I'm not 100% on that because it's been a while, but I think it's more of a Japanese folklore reference.
Well, the reference to roaming spirits being locked up by sorcerers is a Lightspeed Rescue reference. But they're like, but we don't know how to do that. Like we don't even know if they stayed sealed. And
It's possible it's a Power Rangers reference. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, this fanfic has Jason and Zach and Trini attend the ninja competition and be impressed by the good sportsmanship and skill of their eventual replacements.
Attend as people who are watching.
Yeah, not to participate.
Not participants.
Attend to watch it.
Yeah.
And be impressed by the 3 who are going to be replacing them as Rangers eventually. Spoiler alert for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
That's the people who replace them, the white ninjas in this competition.
Right. Of course. and so the author writes in that they go and talk to them. And that's something that never happened. They never really had any connection whatsoever with their replacements in the original series.
They knew them.
Well,
They watch them on TV. On a portable TV in the park. It's definitely at some
right.
point.
Okay, but yeah, no, what I recall from the episodes I watched recently was that they were familiar with them, like they knew
The
them in
Rangers
person,
knew them, but the only actors on the show were Kimberly and Billy and Tommy. So I'm saying that like Jason and Zach and Trini never had a chance to actually like form that connection. And that is unfortunate. And so I just noticed that the author was specifically letting that happen. And they cut out the entire scene of them actually talking.
I get what you're saying. Thank you. Yes. No, it's a good point.
But they have it happen, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a nice touch.
And they talk about the other ninjas fighting dirty, which is weird because ninjas is a dirty fighting style, period.
Well, it's just not a common thing, too, to have a ninja competition. Like, couldn't they just have martial arts, like, not, like, ninjutsu kind of...
Yeah, because, like, ninja competition doesn't make any sense. You have a ninjutsu competition where people learn ninjutsu, which is sort of like a dirty style of martial arts.
Which like isn't it really, like, practical? Like, never mind.
Well, it's like moves where it's like you do a kick that's meant to kick through bamboo armor in order to crush somebody's chest, sort of thing.
It's not practical, is what I would say. Like, Jeet Kune Do is practical. I don't... Never mind. It's Power Rangers. I'm gonna stop now.
If you're doing a ninja competition, like actual ninjas, that mean disguising yourself as a peasant in like a in like a some sort of
like I said, Dom. I'm calming down now. I think you should do.
Like disguising yourself as like a woodcutter in like a Usagi Yojimbo style.
I like in the second Ninja Turtles movie, where it starts with Splinter emphasizing that the art of the ninja is to remain unseen. And then at the end of the movie, they return victorious, and Splinter just turns on the TV, and it's them at a nightclub rapping with what is it, like ice? What rapper? Ice-T or something? But it was Vanilla Ice. And
I don't remember.
We don't know.
So much disappointment.
So they were at a competition where they were rapping with iced tea.
Right, yeah, I think that's what was happening. So what happens in the ninja encounter in the 3-part episode is that the ninja winners are kidnapped. And, Jason has a moment of, like, remembering other people who have been put in danger just from being connected with the Power Rangers, including, like, a very small child from some episode or another.
Also,
Having a lot of doubt.
They write down Alpha's cry as I-ye-ye-ye-ye, which I'm not sure I agree with.
Ay. How would you transliterate yai?
Say I.
Y-A-I.
Y-A-I. That
Yeah.
would make more sense, yes.
I thought it would be Y-I, but whatever.
This is A-I, Y-I,
Yeah.
Y-I, Y-I, Y-I.
I-ye-ye-ye-ye.
That's no, I thought that was accurate.
Would be
But
ay-ay-ay.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hear ya.
whatever.
It's a diphthong. It's two vowel sounds.
Yeah, okay. If you're going to get all technical about it.
I am.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm paid for here.
Wait, we're paying you?
No. No.
We get into the body of the action in, like, this original Source episode where, like, Jason and Zack and Trini are being deployed to fight a monster called the Terror Blossom. There was a moment in that when Zordon is deploying them that I liked because it's just all these clever, tiny touches.
What's that?
Zordon's like, you will use a new transport mode called jetting. Right, came a voice from within Jason. He wasn't sure it was his own. It was not his own. He was being dubbed by somebody doing a Austin St. Frank impression. Like,
True. Absolutely accurate.
it literally was not his voice in the episode.
That was part of my problem trying to finish the rest of the episode was like the inconsistent After Effects dubbing.
Yeah.
The ADR was very inconsistent and hard to stomach.
And, so I feel like we can skip some of the action in the middle here. The main thing about the Terror Blossom is that it is trying to reproduce itself. And that does not do anything to make Jason feel better about this whole situation.
Like, it can reproduce like a human.
And Zordon's like, well, we're going to kill it before that, but yeah.
We're gonna kill
Yeah.
that bitch.
And he's like,
That's how Zordon talks.
no. And it's funny to me too because it's like everything that's alive can reproduce. Like it's a plant. Like the funniest part about it is it's a plant monster, and it's like how many times a day does he eat spinach? Like
Okay, but most
anyway.
vaguely pig-shaped lumps of clay that are shoved into a magical oven have not been able to reproduce themselves on Power Rangers.
Also, I really don't
That's
think
legit,
that
but-
I don't think that Pachinko machine could have reproduced in the same way.
I mean, I guess it never
I'm
had the
just
chance.
saying that it's a plant-like monster, which it means like reproduction makes sense. Like it's pollinating, it's like reproducing. He eats vegetables and they reproduce. Like that's the funny thing is like because it reproduces its humanoid to him, it's like nah, that's not really. But I get his logic.
They do a weird thing where they had like half the Rangers fight one foe and half the Rangers fight the other foe, which
Right.
I'm not sure actually happened in the show.
It absolutely did because they needed to get the actors who they didn't have voices or actual actors for out of the way.
Okay.
And so in these episodes, it was happening all the time.
Okay.
That they sent the actors they actually had off in one direction and just threw, Jason and Trini and Zack, like stunt doubles in suits, off in another direction.
So they're fighting Terror Blossom and something else.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff happens. I feel like this is kind of mostly checking off events that happened, and they try to do what they can. So Terror Blossom at one point freezes these three, and the author gives Jason a dream sequence during that of his old sensei, who was like a second father to him, and was relevant in one episode and never appeared again, obviously.
I mean, I read this, and you're still telling me the stuff that I'm always surprised every time you mention something.
Yeah, because this part didn't stick with me either, except that I was paying close attention. All of this, like, kind of back and forth fighting stuff, it kind of blurs together a lot. So the author's doing what they can, but they're kind of also just stepping through the things that happen.
Yeah, and the stuck out point is just Jason being kind of appalled by everything, but never really telling his companions that he feels this way. Per se.
Well, no, except Zack and Trini, and so it's kind of odd.
And like also at this point, they also like get out of their Zords and like fight a putty again at a point after this.
I would say it would make more sense if you had watched the episodes, but it probably didn't make any more sense.
And they're talking about it from Jason's point of view, and they say, as the beings being attacked, the Rangers launch into action around Jason. He He watched as the putties struck at him, his own arms blocking the crude blows instinctively. Do you know what you are, little putty? Do you know who I am? You swing so intently. What makes you fight me? I'm sorry, little one, but I have to fight back.
Yeah.
That's so... It's endearing in its own way. Like... But the funny part is that he's calling it little one. I think that's where it kind of loses me, this fanfiction, is that he's infantilizing them so much. It's like, if he was humanizing them, like, I get that, like, they have their own human identities, because they are fighting against him. They are his enemies. They've fought him and hurt him and injured him and his friends. Like, if he wasn't infantilizing them, it would be a little bit more easy to comprehend, because you go from saying this thing is something that causes me fear to something that I think of as a child.
But he also like compared it to the children after drawing like a child's picture of a rabbit.
Yeah,
right.
Well, he's mostly infantilizing the putties, which kind of fair.
What I'm saying is that it's not that I don't get the infantilization of them, but what I don't understand is the leap in his logic. Like, he went from fighting them as an enemy force to thinking of them as, like, things that are barely capable of any action. Like, just being like, you're just a tiny little child, let me protect you. If he just thought you're more like a human, that would make more sense to me. Like, oh, you're a human that's fighting me for your own reasons, versus, oh, you're just a baby.
Yeah.
Like, that makes less sense to me.
Well, touching in on a few other just, like, amazing little close read things. Like, there's at one point they're fighting a bunch of putties, and at the end of it, it makes a note that, like, none of them were destroyed. They were all just, like, brought down to the ground and kind of, like, going, like, whoa, around on the ground.
Yeah.
And, like, Jason hadn't destroyed any of them. None of them had destroyed any of them. And I went and watched that scene, and that's exactly what happened for no clear reason in that episode. And the author just, like, found a way to kind of justify it.
That was in one of the ninja episodes?
I think so, yeah, number 2. And one thing I didn't check is that the Terror Blossom, this thing that's threatening to reproduce itself a bajillion times and, like, kill all of humanity or whatever, tells Jason, or tells the Megazord, so finish me off, or don't you have the guts? And, like, the Megazord stands there and says, I didn't think so. You put up a good fight, but now it's time to sow my seeds. He began to walk past the robot. Parting, he told the Rangers within, I'll be sure to tell my children about you. And then they destroy it. And so it's like that's the moment when Jason decides to destroy it.
Terror Blossom heard it coming. He turned too late. The golden blade passed through his flesh and tore him asunder. He dropped to the ground and was incinerated. All that remained was a sprinkling of pink petals, dancing lightly through the air. Jason's morpher unclasped from his belt into his hand. He held it for a moment, feeling its weight. His fingers then uncurled. The pack clattered across the floor at Zach's feet, and Jason walked away.
And I didn't get far enough into rewatching those episodes. Is that actually the dialogue? Because if so, like, what a gift from those episode writers to this author.
I want to doubt that was the actual dialogue.
You want to what?
I want to doubt.
Yeah. I mean, it can't have been, right?
I'll tell my children about you. That's
I highly
way
doubt.
too.
No, that's not. No.
I mean,
no.
This is a question that could have been resolved with 3 more minutes of research, but, like, I didn't do it.
Okay, I've not done the research, not watched it recently enough, but no. No. The answer is no.
Yeah, but things like the putties, that was in the episode. Like, the putties not being destroyed in that one particular fight.
Think logically, please.
You can't do that with Mighty Morphin, though.
Like, do you think that... Well, I guess
no,
we could
I
look
doubt
it.
I'm just...
We all doubt it. Nonetheless, we could look it up, given some thought. However, we're not thinking that hard.
Given any effort.
I mean, it's like
we
canon
prefer to talk rather than think.
It's canon that the Mighty Morphin incurs more damage upon different worlds than it does intended. After all, they're the ones that brought the bad guy from Mighty Morphin Beetleborgs to Earth.
What?
Yeah, they were, like, on a different planet. They went to Earth, and, like, the bad guy from Mighty Morphin Beetleborgs was like, oh, those bad guys.
Big bad Beetleborgs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was the reason the bad guy went to Earth.
What about VR
Wow.
Troopers?
Yes.
Where
How
is
does that all
feature
tie
in?
in?
That was a Super Samurai Squad, Cyber Squad, I think.
Now, the Ninja Turtles do cross over, of course, in canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But we won't talk about that yet.
Okay.
Okay. And so once they get towards the end, it kind of skips ahead and it has Jason boarding his flight to the World Peace Summit because the characters were written out as having been randomly chosen.
Randomly chosen as
It's
three teams from Angel Grove,
It's
California.
not even really stated that they
Which
applied
to
for it.
spread peace throughout the rest of the world.
Right.
Well, no, it is stated in the episodes, I think, that they applied.
They
Is
all
it?
applied. I mean, Bulk and Skull applied to the same thing also.
I guess they
Yes.
must. It must be implied.
In the episodes, it implied that they applied to the position.
Right.
Because their fellow Power Rangers are watching on, like, will they get it? So, that is my interpretation.
And they watch it and they want to be the first one to tell him to get it, but like they're all not there because they're all like rollerblading in the park by themselves. As
They're riding bikes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. And then
Or
they go
something, yeah.
they go talk to the silhouettes of their friends and
Which
tell them that they
is
made it. And someone
strange.
dubbing Jason is like, yeah.
yeah, that's so cool.
I know.
It's great.
Jason's dubbed over voice is just embarrassing. I
But
can't.
It's definitely a different person.
I know.
I know.
And it's hard.
And then after that,
Yeah. I can't
Yeah.
believe we got that. That's so dope. I love it. It's chill. It's so cool.
I
Perfect
watched a-
Jason.
I would watch
Thank
a
you.
Power Ranger where like you dub over most of the stuff.
Everything but
cool.
Bulk and Skull. And-
Wait,
Yeah.
I could do a gray Polk and Skull. What are you talking about?
Okay, do
Go
it.
for it.
Do
Let's do it.
No, never mind. I decided against it.
Oh.
Okay. Next time. Next Power Rangers fanfic. You're on board.
All right.
So anyway, they leave for the Peace Summit. It writes out, Zordon's last speech to them, saying that, like, you will always carry the spirit of the Power Rangers, but your destinies lie elsewhere, and you're going to help the world in a different way.
Also, I was watching the episode again, and like Zordon is just a random fat guy's face in a tube, right?
Yeah, that's about correct.
Okay.
You know what I was noticing about Zordon's face is that his mouth actually never moves.
To his words.
It doesn't move
Oh,
at
doesn't
all.
move at all? Well,
Yeah.
it's telepathic, whatever.
Is this worth it? Was
No,
like,
but my point is that how many shots do they actually have to take of that face? Like, very few.
it's also like a shot from like the guy like looking down, like
Yeah.
very upset about what's going on. It's like, couldn't they get more expressive facial features?
The technology is just not that good, Dom.
It was the 90s.
It's being run by a small person in a little, behind a curtain off to the side.
Jurassic Park was in the 90s also.
So, Jason,
Anyways.
Jason, without really being able to renounce the necessity for Power Rangers, like we said, is freed of the burden of being one.
Yeah.
And the last line is, Jason smiled, the last main line is, Jason smiled and closed his eyes. He could feel himself flying through the clouds, the air cool on his face. He was free. And then there's an epilogue in which he left a package for Rocky.
Rocky was the replacement Red Ranger?
Correct.
Okay. Was that the Asian man, or was that...
Rocky's the one you don't remember because he had no distinguishing characteristics.
Oh. Who was Rocky? Well, what was their...
Rocky was the replacement for the Red
the
Ranger.
white
Replacement
guy.
The white
Yeah,
guy.
the white one.
Yes.
Yeah. It's literally like all his characteristic is. Like, here's some white dude who replaces the Red Ranger.
How long did...
We're rough on Rocky.
How long did Rocky stay with us?
Rocky was with us for about 3 seasons.
That's a long time.
Yep.
You'd think I would have remembered that.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Second half of season 2, season 3, Zeo, first half of Turbo. Yep.
And yet, none of
And
us
yet.
remember.
Although at this point, I'd rather rewatch Grand Caesar.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
Yeah.
So Jason left a message for Rocky, and it's like a notebook or whatever, and it says, open when the battle is over. So it's like he wants to share his thoughts about it, but like also doesn't want to compromise Rocky's
Yeah.
effectiveness, I guess.
Wants to share the concept of like of sentience of their enemies.
So, great gift from Jason. After the battle is over, open this and be like, hey, you probably just murdered a bunch of, like, sentient creatures with hopes and dreams.
Yeah, you think we would have started with that. Your opening line. They had an episode of the SS Gridman
Uh-huh.
about that, where like the guy they have Gridman, who's like the guy who's combining with the cyber person or becoming the giant hero fighter, and like their friend who's like kaiju fan. It's like, hey, maybe all these kaiju are human, and like that like fucks them up for like a whole episode.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts about this episode? I mean, this fanfic.
I mean, this fanfic is very evocative.
Yeah.
Like, it had a lot of good imagery, I think, that kind of drew you in, even though there wasn't too much else happening because it was about Power Rangers episode.
I like that. I think the dialogue when they're writing it is usually kind of good and accurate. I feel like it was hard for me to read. It's really lurchy because it's going between all these like boxes that the author needs to check. But at the same time, the fastidiousness of the author in checking off boxes and like doing direct quotes from the source is truly impressive.
Well, it's like that and like combining the concept of like trying to rewrite the first of the 3 Ninja episodes
into something that had thematic coherence and like actually led somewhere.
We're like to the point where like Kimberly's listening to like the radio / portable TV they have. Where like they say this is totally one of my favorite songs. Kimberly beamed as a portable TV played a pop song. Around her, the teens lounged comfortably in the shifting afternoon sun. There's more teens lounging.
Lounging teens.
Well, what did you do as a teen, Dom?
I don't think I lounged.
Oh, I did.
We lounged around
all
video
the
game
time.
systems.
I curled up, I think.
I went out to the park. We played guitars and we dumpstered pizzas and.
In between volunteering for the youth and fundraising for good
Actually,
causes?
yes.
Okay, well, good.
Well, no, mostly just doing Friends of Trees.
You were truly a teen with attitude, Tori.
Oh, no, I was basically a Power Ranger. You don't even know.
Yeah.
Amada, what did you and I do it as teens? Because we were definitely together, I think, when we did that.
We played video games in a dark basement.
Yes.
And we played role-playing games mostly in a dark basement.
Yes, that sounds right.
So, less Power Ranger material there.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is, I did some of this stuff as a teen. But, all right, a lot of other stuff, I think teenagers do a lot of different activities, but I think the ideal here that Power Rangers always tries to evoke is like this sitting out in the sun, being cool, playing your guitar. Playing guitar. Yeah,
Hanging out at the juice bar.
The juice
bar, which is so bizarre, by the way. Like, I mean, what?
That has to be a thing for people who are under 18 but very socially active, right?
It's not a real thing. Like, I've never discovered this thing as being an actual thing.
It could be a Californian thing, right?
Perhaps. And if it were,
we don't know.
People would hang out there. It's like a thing in Buffy, too. Like, it's just like...
This, the
like,
Buffy thing, yeah. That random club they went to all the time. That,
all the time. They just,
grew
like,
up,
let teens
grew up
in.
Into, like, an adult club when they grew up.
Was that a juice club?
Originally,
like, in Buffy, they were just, like, teens that went there.
They had Anya, who was a centuries-old demon.
Right.
He was like, give me a beer, and it's like, show me some ideas. Like, fine, I'll take a juice.
Yeah. And it was so weird because, it implied that they served alcohol there as well as juice, and teens just hung out there and they just drank juice.
They just
and
hung out there
cool.
and played pool, and then when they got old enough, they drank beer and played pool in the same place.
Exactly. Like, as if there was this seamless integration of the two adult and child
We will
cultures,
definitely talk about this on our Buffy podcast later.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
There's no way we're not getting a Buffy fanfiction at some point.
Please, yes.
Power
I want
Rangers.
to go to there.
Power
What I was
Rangers.
going to say about Power Rangers is it's interesting that they seem like these ideal teenagers living these ideal teenage lives. That,
6 teenagers with attitude, yeah.
Yeah, like most teenagers never could. But, when I started watching Power Rangers, I was like 5. So, seemed totally normal to me. I love that this author created that seamlessness and that, like, normal, quote-unquote normal teenage life. And also the, like, total drama that Jason undergoes in this fic.
The whole moral uneasiness that comes with destroying something that may or may not be sentient, but like you have to do it because it's your job and like might kill humans.
Power Rangers is not meant to create that moral conundrum, but this author does it, and they do it while keeping the same tone that Power Rangers does throughout. It's like nonsense that they're able to do that. It's super good.
I could complain about Zach and Trini being really peripheral, but I think Jason is the one to do this with, both because he's like the Red Ranger, he's like the center person, and because as a character, if I can say anything about Jason, it's that he's a serious person who like he's more inclined to brood than some of the others. Like he's the one who is going to be like really thinking about this and like going over it and turning it over and like
he has like 164th Native American. So
I feel like Jason was the one to pick, even though growing up I always felt like he was more of a lighthearted character, and I always identified with him. Like I wanted to be him, you know, I would be like the cool one.
I always thought,
but if you pick a character, you know, like Billy is kind of too academic. And all the other characters are kind of too lighthearted, and Tommy is too idealistic, you know? Like, Jason might be the one to pick.
Well,
I do see that.
The only choice was Jason, Zach, or Trini, like, in this context for this author.
Definitely.
And like, I usually went with Zach, because Zach had an axe, and that was definitely the coolest weapon.
Agreed.
I think I would have gone with Zach, because Zach is the least fleshed out Power Rangers character.
You think like, he's less fleshed out than Trini? I mean...
Okay. Zach and Trini.
Zach and Trini.
I will give you Zach and Trini. And Kimberly also is not very fleshed out.
Kimberly gets enough time, enough screen time that she, like...
But does she get a personality?
She's a more competent actor than some.
I think both of
That's fine.
I think both of the female performers do not get personality. Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Zach actually gets the least personality, I think. But
like
his personality is hip hop keto.
Hip hop keto.
That is his custom martial art that he develops.
That's not a personality.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
No, but I know that you are.
I'm laughing to try to relieve the pain.
I know.
Like, hey, I'm a black martial artist. That's my personality.
Hip hop keto.
At one point, Zach gets to wield the like dragon armor from the Green Ranger suit, and that's the best.
That sounds the best.
Just once. It's like
it's a struggle to decide whether the female characters get less attention or the black character gets less attention.
Basically, any of the non-white characters.
I think what we have to ask ourselves is, in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, did any characters actually get character development?
I feel like Tommy did. Although
Tommy did.
Tommy's character development was powers. It was not character.
That's fair. And beyond that, I have to go back to
I mean, he turned
Mystic
from
Knights
evil
of
to
Tirnanog,
good.
which was a different series.
Anyway.
Tirnanog?
Yeah, Mystic Knights of the Tirnanog. Yeah.
I know Tirnanog. That's a British Isles folklore.
Yeah,
that's the fairy
it's a Celtic thing. Yeah, and they had 3 nights where it was like...
I mean, I studied that.
Was like sea around me, like fire before me. And like I was so concerned because like they had one more night after that. I didn't know because like they said like before, around, beside, and I don't know what the 4th night could have invoked. Turned out it was like forest around me or something. I was like, oh, that's a sellout.
That's like before and behind.
Yeah, exactly. It was like above, below, and like in front. And there's forest around me or something. Anyway,
for this fanfic, I think I appreciated what it was doing more than I enjoyed it actively. But like, it's interesting seeing, you know, the multiple reasons that people write fan fiction and being very, very unsatisfied with a specific thing in the continuity is like a reason that I feel like we haven't seen yet. And I feel like that's why the author wrote this, is that they wanted to do that exit better than it was done.
I feel like I would appreciate the style of writing in a different context, something that was more inherently intellectual, emotionally responsible than
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, but like if you had to do it in a fan context, then I understand. I just kind of wish it was more.
Tori, any final thoughts?
Well, I think there was some effort put here. Yeah, do I wish there was more? Totally. But there was some effort put here, and I will respect that, considering this material being so literally made for 6-year-olds, you know? Like, what are you going to do with that? I also wonder why they put so much effort into material that was made for 6-year-olds.
Well,
Power
it
Rangers
is
fan base is
question.
serious
It
business.
was definitely something that
guess.
mattered to them at the
Yeah,
time.
I'm just wondering why it mattered so much. Like,
Yeah.
like Power Rangers still is a cool thing to me. Like, because it was a part of my childhood as like a 5 and 6-year-old. Yeah, it speaks to me.
It was like,
But putting effort into that as, a teenager or adult seems bizarre. So I'm curious about why they tried. But hey, they did, and they did a good job.
as like a teenager with attitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Amato, yeah, you and I still have to watch Gundam Ranger sometime.
Sure. I'm always up for anything that's Sentai.
Well, it's a Kamen Rider with like that famous author.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I love Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
All right. We should probably wrap this up, though.
Yeah.
Because the fanfic is over, and so I guess so are we.
Right.
Now, remember,
we don't exist anymore.
at the end of last episode, I made the joke that, like, oh, we did Sailor Moon, and now we're doing color-coded superheroes.
Yeah.
But so this time I wanted to switch it up more. And instead of writing about a bunch of teen martial artists,
We're going to
we're doing
gargoyles.
Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
So there's my joke. There's my connection lead in there.
Okay.
Now, the other thing about next week is that it is going to be going up on December 21st.
Oh.
That is fairly close to Christmas. So it is our Christmas episode.
So take that, I guess.
Take that. And as such, our fanfic is going to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fanfic, Peace on Earth, Goodwill to Turtles, by Blue.
Is this going to be super Christian?
It is going to be somewhat Lutheran, yes. Now, this one, well, I'll get into it, but it was recommended by someone whose opinion I trust. We will talk about it next time for Christmas.
Okay, because I will ask you about that.
It can be found on fanfiction.net. Our link to it is bit.ly/rfrturtles. Please look forward to it. I assume.
Yes.
This was episode 15 of Retro Fanfic Retrospective, Loss of Innocence, CENTS, by Joe Rovan. You can find a copy of it on the author's personal website. We're providing that link there at bit.ly/rfrloss. I went loss instead of innocence because, obviously.
Right.
The intro song for the podcast is The Weekly Fair off of the album Popey's Incredible Adventure by Komiku. The outro song is Run Against the Universe from the same album. You can find that album and other works by Komiku at loyaltyfreakmusic.com. You can find our website at retrofanficretrospective.podbean.com or bit.ly/retrofanfic, which points you to that same Podbean site. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts about the episode, please leave them or send us an email at retrofanficretrospective@gmail.com.
And if you could leave a comment or review on our Apple Podcast page, that'd be super cool.
That would be genuinely helpful.
Yes.
Because clearly everyone needs to know our thoughts about 20-year-old fan fiction.
Please.
Or in this case, 17-year-old fan fiction.
It's a fan fiction with attitude.
That's right. I'm Amato.
I'm Tori.
I'm dumb.
We are just 3 Earth life forms with attitude trying to be nice to each other.
Morphin time.
Until next time, take care.
Tyrannosaurus.
Rabbit.
Butterfly.
Changing your animals.
Dog 2. We weren't able to get Takarazuka tickets for her this time. Sadly. Anyway,
Are those actually
I'm sure you'll go.
What?
Again.
Takarazuka?
Takarazuka? Are they actually what?
Are they actually fun to watch?
Depends on what you find fun to watch.
I'm sure that would be great.
Takarazuka
Like,
is high budget, high spectacle, mostly musical theater with a bunch of actors who are highly trained in dance and in being loud, bombastic, charismatic personalities. And so if you're looking for
See, I would
subtle
love that.
acting, it's not necessarily the best.
I think that'd be super fun.
But if you like beautiful
Lesbians.
costumes and big dance numbers and implicit lesbianism,
Those are things I like.
Those are things I
I can
love.
lend you a subtitled one. We got ones on DVD.
I've been
Yeah,
willing
I've
to
seen
try
some on DVD.
We'd have a watch party.
But